The Indianapolis Colts are pretty much screwed going into this season. And at this point, their fate is almost certainly sealed because you look at who their quarterbacks potentially are going to be, and you can't, you can only help really but just marvel at the how ass both of their quarterbacks are. I'm obviously talking about Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, the two guys that are going to compete, and I say that sort of in very heavy air quotes, compete for the starting job for Indianapolis. I've made videos on both of these guys. I've made numerous videos on both of these guys and how they're both just atrocious. They're both garbage as fuck, and I mean, they wouldn't be like third stringers on there's certain teams that Anthony Richardson wouldn't even be on the roster. And the same thing goes with Daniel Jones. He wouldn't even make the practice squad. He wouldn't even be, someone who's even considered to even run the scout team, which is bad in of itself. But both of these guys have glaring deficiencies, glaring flaws going into this game. And once again, I don't quite know what the Indianapolis front office, was thinking by bringing in Daniel Jones. But, he had that one good year in whatever the fuck it was, 2021, which was a fluke. It was the only decent season that he's had in his entire career. And then the very next year, he looked like a complete fucking scrub. He looked like a deer in headlights, and he just looked awful. Anthony Richardson has had maybe one good game in, 2 seasons in the NFL. Well, more like 1.25 season. Because, first of all, he's injury-prone as fuck. By week 6, the guy's going to have at least some sort of injury that's going to silent him for 2 to 3 weeks. So, in the NFL, as they say, availability is the best ability, and he does not have that. So, just because of that, even if he's become some sort of beast, he's going to be injured, and you can't rely on a quarterback that's constantly injured. You can't rely on a quarterback that's constantly fucking hurt. Now, on paper, they have a decent offense. They have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. They have Jonathan Taylor. They have Michael Pittman. They have Alec Pierce. They have a lot of fucking weapons that really stand out on their team, and that, a lot of quarterbacks would kill for some of these weapons. I'm being honest. If you gave, any other sort of young quarterback those weapons, he would sort of, be feasting. And they've surrounded, these two trash quarterbacks with these weapons, and I think I'm forgetting Adonai Mitchell and fucking Josh Downs as well, and they just picked Tyler Warren. And once again, they have a very solid sort of offensive line that's going to hold it down for them. And I find it funny, the second that the Colts get one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, their quarterback play sucks. But with Andrew Luck, they can never give the guy a good offensive line, and he was getting killed and getting hit like 100-something fucking times a year, or some crazy stat like that. But now you have these two garbage quarterbacks, with Daniel Jones and you have Anthony Richardson, and they also drafted Riley Leonard, who, let's be honest, he's a tight end playing quarterback. So he's probably going to make this transition, very soon because he has no arm strength. And the same thing for Daniel Jones. He just doesn't have any sort of arm strength. He's one of those guys where he's very athletic and he's tall, so obviously his position should not be quarterback, because if you can't throw or play in the NFL at quarterback, you should probably change your position. That's what I'm going to stand by. I believe that guys like Daniel Jones and like Anthony Richardson and like Trey Lance are tight ends. That you don't play you can't throw, you can't play quarterback, right? But apparently, they aren't getting the memo, or some of the front offices aren't really getting the memo that these guys suck at quarterback, and you would never really employ them. I mean, with a guy like Trey Lance, what do you have to lose, right? Like, Trey Lance sucks as a quarterback. He can't read defense. He throws late. Why the fuck would you ever want that guy on your roster as a quarterback? Why didn't you just say, okay, well, we're going to try you out at tight end? And if he says no, then you just release him. You're not losing a thing by doing that. And the same thing goes for guys like Daniel Jones, who is a tight end playing quarterback. And when you have two dudes who are that bad at throwing the ball, and a rookie who also is a tight end, I mean, you have 3 tight ends at quarterback. That is exactly what the Colts have. They have 3 dudes who should be playing tight end that are in their quarterback room. Who's their 4th guy? Jason Bean. I'm pretty sure that's a dude who played for Kansas, who's athletic, so he probably should be playing tight end. So there you go. 4 tight ends playing quarterback. And they're all listed as quarterbacks. So how many tight ends should they have on the roster? Maybe 9, 10 at this point? Because Anthony Richardson can't throw a straight pass. He can't throw. His mechanics are dog shit. He can throw deep, but that's the only level of the field he's accurate at. Intermediate is one of the worst I've ever seen. Short is one of the worst I've ever seen. He has a rocket arm, but also can't process or read defenses. Once again, horrendous mechanics, horrendous footwork. Just seems confused at any sort of exotic pressure sent his way, and when he's put under any sort of duress, he falls apart and fucking crumbles like a cookie. Daniel Jones, he sucks with a cream puff arm. He's a one-read quarterback. He cannot progress off his first read, and when he eventually does get off his first read, he's holding the ball for an egregiously long amount of time, and he gets to a second read, and then half a second later, he's sacked and he fumbles. He is a fumble machine. He's an interception machine. He's a turnover machine in general. He holds the ball forever. He takes too many sacks. He really can't, process or read defenses. He's a good athlete, but he doesn't really know how to use that God-given athletic talent that was given to him. So what's the point? There you go. There's your two tight ends, and then you have Riley Leonard, who's also a tall, athletic quarterback with no sort of discernible arm strength or coverage reading ability in any way, shape, or form. Someone who should be playing an entirely different position, but is masquerading as a quarterback. So there you go. There's your 3-4 tight ends as quarterback. And honestly, you might as well run the Wildcat. Have Jonathan Taylor just take snaps, out of the shotgun the whole year. And there's maybe a chance that the first couple of weeks you can rattle off 2-3 wins in a row, but once teams figure out what you're doing, then you got to throw it and you're kind of fucked. So maybe the first 2 games you can get away with it, but I don't know. The thing, it's just bad. Like, they don't have a quarterback on their team. They simply put don't have a quarterback. They're all tight ends. All of these guys are guys you would never want starting for you. You wouldn't want Richardson, Jones, or Riley Leonard starting for your team, because if one of those guys is starting for your team, you're never going to make the playoffs, because those quarterbacks are simply put, are not playoff caliber quarterbacks. And with a roster, with an offense that's, looking solid on paper and basically every sort of front, why are you going to waste that? I mean, seriously, why are you going to waste that on these guys who just have no ability to play in the NFL? And maybe what they're doing is they're trying to tank for a quarterback, and they're going to try to get Arch May. I don't know what they're trying to do, but maybe they're trying to tank for a quarterback. Because there's, probably like 3 or 4 potential first-round quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class. So maybe they're trying to get one of those guys, because once again, they know that Richardson's spoiled goods. He's constantly hurt and is just a terrible quarterback who is one of the best athletes to ever play quarterback. But once again, all he can do is run. He can't throw with accuracy. He has Tim Tebow accuracy. He's right-handed Tim Tebow. And when you're right-handed Tim Tebow, things aren't going very well for you. And then all the other quarterbacks, it's a complete and utter crapshoot. I would say you don't know what to expect from them, but you do. You know what to expect for Daniel Jones. If he gets in the game, he's going to throw a bunch of interceptions and take a bunch of sacks and probably fumble a couple of times. If Riley Leonard gets in the game, they won't be able to move the ball. They'll score maybe 6 points a game with the guy. With Richardson, maybe you'll score 17. With Jones, probably 17. With Riley Leonard, I doubt they score 6 points a game. So, I mean, it's bad. Their offense is going to be bad. And it's not going to be because their receivers aren't getting open, or they're not catching the ball, or they don't have a good running back, or their offensive line sucks, or they have a horrendous defense that's constantly giving up points. I mean, looking at their defense right now, they got Travarius Ward. I mean, they got some decent-looking players. They have Franklin, that Latu guy. They have Grover Stewart. They have DeForest Buckner, Kenny Moore, Cam Bynum, Nick Cross, Jalen Jones. Some good players, right? So this could be like an average to above-average defense. And then you look at their offense, and wow, I mean, this could be a team that wins 10, 11 games, right? And then you realize they have no quarterback. So they're fucked. This team is fucked. And Shane Steichen was supposed to be some quarterback guru, is going to figure out in the hardest way imaginable that he doesn't have anybody that's capable of playing the position competently this season. So he's probably going to get fired because, and it won't even be his fault, right? Because he's got these scrubs at quarterback. He probably didn't recommend the team to go out and sign Daniel fucking Jones, let's be honest, because he probably knows that Daniel Jones is another fucking case of spoiled goods as well. But, man, it feels like the Colts front office always manages to sort of fumble in these situations where they actually get a good-looking team, and they're just one piece away, and that one piece is the most important position in football, which is quarterback. So, if you're a Colts fan watching this video, you guys better buckle up. You're going to have a long-ass fucking season with these fucking 2 scrubs battling it out. And they're going to pretend to play quarterback because both of them don't know how to play quarterback. I guarantee you can take a high schooler, a 4 or 5 star rated high school guy, And he would play infinitely better than Anthony Richardson and Riley fucking Leonard and whatever the fuck the other guy's name is, Daniel Jones, the 3 tight ends. So once again, they have about 9-10 tight ends on their fucking roster, and that's just not good, man. When you have 9-10 tight ends and no quarterback, you're fucked. And, I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't even know. You got to run a run-only offense. You can't. The fact is, with quarterbacks that bad, if you have to throw more than 20 times a game, you're going to lose. Every single time you're going to lose that game. You better hope the line holds up. There's no injuries. Jonathan Taylor, run him 30 times a game. I mean, if you have to run him under 25 times, once again, you're going to lose. That would imply that you're throwing it over 20 times. So then, at that point, you're essentially fucked. So Jonathan Taylor will probably be injured by midseason because he's going to be the bell cow running back of the offense, taking 35, 40, 45 carries a game. And once again, that's what I would do. I would not throw. I would not throw more than 5 times because there's no point in throwing more than 5 times because you're risking the risk of turnover is too immense with those 2 shit cans at quarterback to where you might as well run it because you have a lesser chance of fumbling the ball with your running backs than you have, there's a more likely chance of the quarterback throwing an interception or fumbling than the running back fumbling because first of all, the quarterbacks have horrific ball security on the team. Jonathan Taylor isn't really known to be a turnover machine or a fumbler in any stretch of the imagination. So I'd imagine giving it to him maybe 50 times a game. Once again, his legs would be spaghetti noodles by the 3rd quarter and he would probably have severe back pain and his shoulders and everything would hurt. He'd get a fucking brain hemorrhage and probably collapse and fucking have a stroke and die on the field. But still, I would give the ball to him maybe 40, 50 times because there's no point in throwing the ball with this team. With the way the team is assembled, you have good receivers, but what's the point of a good receiving core and good tight ends if you're not going to utilize them to their fullest of their abilities? If you don't have a quarterback who can throw them the ball on time and on target, Richardson can't and Daniel Jones sure as hell can't, then what's the point of having them? You might as well run the ball every play. You might as well become a fucking high school offense where you're running the ball. And once again, I know that Jonathan Taylor would be hurt in 3 weeks if they ran the ball 40 times a game. But I mean, someone's gotta carry the offense. It can't be the quarterback because the quarterbacks are so fucking terribly bad on this team that you can't warrant throwing it a lot. And if God forbid, you go down 21-0 in the 1st quarter, the game's over. There's no point. Because at that point, you have to throw the ball to get back in the game. You can't just run. You can't go run, pass, and then punt. And then, now, oh my God, now they're up 20-0. Now the game is really fucking over. And you've got to go an empty shotgun or whatever the fuck it is every fucking play. And you have no chance of winning the game at that point because you're forcing yourself to throw the ball because you have to because, well, let's be honest, the Colts defense isn't going to give up 28 consecutive points with no answer. But I mean, honestly, I'm starting to think maybe the defense is going to score more points than the offense this season. But they're going to have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. That's just how it's going to be. Because if you have a shit quarterback, it doesn't matter if you give him 3 fucking Randy Mosses, a bunch of fucking Antonio Gates with 5 Anthony Munoz on the fucking line, with a running back fucking core of Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, and goddamn fucking Earl Campbell. It doesn't fucking matter. Alright, none of that fucking matters. And you have a bunch of fucking Bruce Smiths and Lawrence Taylors and fucking goddamn Deion Sanders and fucking Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. It doesn't fucking matter who you have. You got Luke Kuechly and fucking Ray Lewis. It doesn't matter. You have the best defense ever. You have the best kickers, Adam Vinatieri. You have fucking Ray Geiser. It doesn't matter. You could build a God squad around Anthony Richardson and he would look like a high schooler because he's that fucking bad. The same thing applies to Daniel Jones. The same thing applies to Riley Leonard. They fucking blow. And I don't see, it's untenable situations what I'm trying to say. The Colts are in no man's land with their quarterback situation. You can't just make a trade for a quarterback because there's no available good quarterbacks in the market that would win you fucking games. So, for lack of better words, the Indianapolis Colts are fucked. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.